Hi, everyone. I'm Sam Eckmann of Gold Derby, and joining me is Kimberley Spiteri and Patricia Regan, nominated Emmy nominees this year for period and/or character hairstyling and period and/or character makeup, respectively, for the final season of The Marvelous Mrs. Maisel. Congratulations to you both for these nominations. It's not the first time that either of you are in this position, previous winners as well. So what does it mean to get this continued recognition for your work?
This is great. We're doing good so far. It's really nice to be nominated for the final season. It's a very special season, and we're all actually very sad it's over. But so it's a very nice bonus, I think, too.
Yeah, it's really nice to see all the recognition there. And I wanted to go into one episode specifically, the episode Susan, because it has one of my favorite moments of the whole series, I think, with these great musical numbers from these very over-the-top industrial musicals. I was curious, where did you look at the actual industrial musicals? Because these were things that were quite common at one point. Did you go back to those for inspiration? Where did the looks come from for those?
Well, you're right. I had no idea about industrials and how big of a theatrical performance companies put on these great productions, musicals that were, sorry, I'm rambling. I hope you can edit this because I hate this. I really do. So kind of you to do it. And I know there's a reason we work behind the cameras, but our reason for it was, yes, we heard about there was industrials in the 1950s, and they were about, car companies and toilets, and it's how they promoted them, and they hired pretty girls and did these, elaborate,
the contemporary commercials.
Yeah,
really of the time.
So
and, we saw many of them.
We did.
We found them and we would watch them, and
Netflix,
and then we just came up with our own.
We went from there, and ours was about trash and kitchens
and tulips
and dancing.
Yes.
Thanks to
but
Amy and Dan.
And then
they write it, we make it happen.
Bill and Donna. So we got so much to feed off of. So
yeah, I was particularly struck by Emily Bergel's kind of trash heap queen on top of the heap, which was so much fun. How did you land on the look for that? It's a really great, she looks like she's gonna be in like the Follies or something, but make it garbage.
well, but she would be a bit glamorous, right? We thought she's glamorous on top of there. And also we just wanted her to look different than we'd seen her before, to really show how far she can go.
And her character, she always wanted to be a star.
Her character was always quite far out there, so we just helped her on to get the next branch, so to say.
I was realizing too, that episode introduces a character which is rare for a final series. Nina Arianda's Hetty comes into play, and I was wondering, from a hairstyling perspective, a makeup perspective, how does that change things when you're introducing a character for the first time? Because in a way, you're sort of establishing them for the audience.
We tie back into our research for every new character that arrives. We just dive in to see the styles of the period, and of course also who her character was, and she had also a bit of an idea, but not too much. She would just sit mostly, and she just got ready.
She was great, and again, it for us, went after the script and after Amy and Dan. It really, our costume designers, the next point of reference, because her hair, her makeup, if it's not right with that costume, well, then it doesn't, it's wrong. Even though it could be correct for the period, it's not correct for that costume, for that character. So that's where we will build, you know, together. Yes, she's Upper West Side, or she's the Lower, or she's a garbage collector, or she's a secretary, or you know, she's the wife of, you know, the head of a studio, and you know, so that's how they're dressed, and then that's where we kind of then just carry on and go from there.
Yeah, that research you mentioned, if you spend so much time, many seasons on a show, do you feel like that gets easier or quicker, that you have more things to pull from already when a new character comes along?
Yeah, because you kind of grow with the show, you know, after all the years of being in it, you kind of, you know where it's going, and you know, time passes, so you look for new colors, but because there's so much research that comes from the costume department, when we go and see the sets, sometimes that helps to just find something a little new or a little different, but yeah, you just grow with it. We kind of live that time for such a long time in the end. I mean, after you came in third season, I was there from the beginning, so I feel like it almost became second nature. It'll be hard to move forward and remind myself I'm no longer late 50s, early 60s.
Well, the characters move forward quite a bit in this. We have flash forwards a lot, like in several episodes, and you know, that scene where Rose comes and is struggling to make her commercial for the matchmaking business. What goes into your work when you suddenly realize, oh, I have to bring these characters into an entirely new decade? How do you take one character and shift their look?
Oh,
Well, they're still our characters. We still know them, and so we just project what the choices would be that they would make going forward. Like Rose will always hold on to a red lipstick, no matter how old she's going to be. So, you know, and then she's also always very fashion forward. So that's where Kimberley would pick up hair, and you know, then you see her costume, and there is no question.
And you know, it doesn't have to be, I think, separate from the flashbacks, which is obviously a very dramatic shift. We've spent 5 seasons with these people. We have gone into a new decade just in the show proper. What is it like pulling someone along like that, pulling a character along and evolving them? Do you, like, if you think back to the first season or the first season you joined the show, how has the makeup or how has the hair evolved in that time?
Well, we started in the mid 50s or even early 50s for some of the scenes, and so you kind of anchor in colors that are specific to the early years, and then you go to the late 50s, and you know, early 60s kind of stayed in the same for my end.
Mhm.
But also you get to know the characters so well as you go through the seasons, so you know what the choices would be, you know, that they kind of stick to what they like, just like people do. They become people, so they're no longer, you know, you don't recreate them on a daily basis, you just grow with them, and as their costumes change, you just grow along with it. I don't know how to explain it.
Well, that was a pretty good explanation, I think. And I think it's also like, I was shocked to see, you know, characters who basically have a uniform with their hair or with their makeup. Like Susie's is always, you know, pulled back, but then in the future we see her with her hair down and there's gray streaks in it. It feels like was that a big decision to switch up this character who has been very steady?
oh yes, that was a project. But it was difficult because Amy she knew where she wanted her characters to end. And so we needed to fill in that space of what would be period correct, what would actually could possibly happen in reality. and what would, being believable, but suit the character, and having Alex, the character, be okay. So we had an endpoint and we knew where she started, but at the time we had no middle. So it was my job in researching the different periods, because we did do the, later 60s and 70s and 80s, 90s, all of it. What would be believable to fill in the middle? That was my job with Amy and Dan and Alex. So again, it was tons of research, and what I had actually researched what her character was, because her character was becoming a more famous manager. So it was a lot of managers in Hollywood at that time, and what kind of was that look is what we kind of wanted to go for, but not stray away from who Susie was. There had to be remnants of who Susie was. So I put tons of books together, and we tested tons of different wigs on Alex, and put lookbooks together for Amy would that work for who she thought Susie was going to become, and what her journey, how she was going to grow. And luckily we came up with a few that seemed to work out okay. So hopefully the fans liked it, and I think she did okay.
It's pretty amazing.
It's like, that ending one was, it was fun, and it was great, and it was good to see that that's where Amy was happy with where her character had landed, and Alex was happy with where Susie landed. That's important to us for our jobs, is that we make them become comfortable with who they've written or who they're going to act on paper. It's that sometimes we have to fill in those pieces for our actors. They're not sure why they're doing something, and we try and help fill those gaps so that they're comfortable with it, because that's, the bottom line is that's our job, is just to give them the tools that they need to become that character. So
often we shoot completely out of sequence, so it does happen that we have to get into the middle before we really know where we want to go.
In that sense, do you find that actors, especially on a long-running show like this, come to you with ideas of of a type of look they have? Like, I'd love to incorporate something in my hair. Does that ever happen on this set?
Not on this show.
On this one, no. It was very much like whatever Amy and Dan want, that's fine. That's I'm here to facilitate whatever it is they want, Occasionally, they might have a thought that comes through on their personal. For a short time there, Alex was like, oh, maybe I want to chop my hair off. Can we do that? And she talked to Amy, and Amy would be like, if you want, we can, and I'll write it in. But then she changed her mind. So it was a good thing, They started talking it out, and it was like, no, I'm okay with it. And they really were. They were all so great. They were.
So
they
great.
really were. They did whatever it is that was asked of them. It's like they're Amy's job was to create it, our job to make it look that way, and it was their job to make the character real. Do the words, say the words, and be that character.
Yeah, so we're also happy with the dialogue.
How could you not be? So everyone was just there doing their job, and all the pieces fit together. And like we were just talking that, that last scene with Rachel and doing her 4-minute monologue was just it. Again, here we go. Emotional. We all become so emotional because it was the best of the best of all of the seasons. Everything, the writing, the acting, the sets, the lighting, her hair, her makeup, her costume, it just all was perfect. And we were so happy for Rachel to have such an incredible send off, an ending, because we all wanted to end on a high, you know, and have it be great. And so tears.
It
So-
certainly ended on a high, I think. And you know, thinking of endings, now that everything is aired, all the episodes are done, what has been going through, you know, what emotions have been coming up? What have you missed the most about being on this show?
All of it.
All of it. Right now there's a strike, so having a job every day.
No, but this was a unique, you know, not too many jobs like that come around.
No, it's the first series that I've ever gone back to after a year. You know, it usually for me it's just time to move on and do something different, and that's the great thing. But this was very special, and I was very happy and honored to be asked back, and for the duration with my friend here, my little pal.
Yeah.
And so we did it, and no,
We're lucky.
it's just to be, you know, to be nominated for it. That's crazy. Out of all these incredible shows that are out there, I mean, the work and
Yeah,
the
we actually
talent
didn't
is
think
just
it would
like
happen
better and better.
because there's so many new shows coming
Yeah.
too. So
They're fantastic. They're great, and they're like, after 5 years, you still like us, you know, and think that we're in that level. That's, oh my gosh, thanks. That's pretty cool. So yeah.
Well, it's very well deserved. Thank you both for walking me through it all. And for everyone who's watching, make sure you subscribe to Gold Derby. Stick with us for the rest of this Emmy season. And thank you both once again. Fantastic to talk to you.
thank you. Thank you. Bye.